Hey everyone, it's Sean, and I'm back once again with another review. I told you guys that I wanted to start doing these a lot more often, so here I am. I got a couple things to review this video, so here's what I got. Raidmax sent out some RGB fans as well as some sleeved PSU extensions. I'll be using these in the build, so you'll get to see how they look. For the case, I was sent an AI crystal Lite from Anidees, as well as even more RGB fans from them too. A huge thanks goes out to Anidees and Raidmax for supplying the things that I'm using in this build. As usual, I'll be doing an unboxing of everything, giving an overview as well as reviewing them. You guys know what to expect by now, so let's just jump into the video. To start off, I'll be doing an unboxing of the case. There isn't much to see on the box, so I skipped right to the unboxing part. It is packed very well. It has styrofoam on both sides, as well as being covered in a plastic wrapping. This is what the case looks like out of the packaging. All three sides are tempered glass, which gives it a very sleek look. Before we get into the case, I do want to go over the other things that were sent out to me. First up is the items that Raidmax sent out. I had asked them for a couple RGB fans as well as some sleeved power supply extensions, just to fit in with the new build I was doing. And these are the PSU extensions. I got one for my GPU, CPU, and 24-pin cable, since those are really the only ones you see in the build. Under those are the 4 packages of RGB fans, each containing 4 fans. Apparently they made a mistake and sent out 16 fans. But they're letting me keep these, so I guess I got a lot of backup ones now. Here's a closer look at the extensions. Each package has a description of what the connector is. And here's the package of fans. As I said, each package has 4 fans in them, and this is what the fans look like up close. Another cool addition is that in each corner of the fans there is rubber padding to lessen the vibration. Also in this package is a Molex adapter to connect all of the fans to and control with the remote, which is also included in that package. Up next is what Anidees sent out. Obviously they sent a case, but they also sent out a package of their Halo RGB 12 fans. On the box you can see some info of the fans, so if you want to pause it, you can read that if you'd like. Inside the box, it has 3 fans as well as a baggie with different components needed for the fans to work. In this baggie is the fan controller itself, which has 6 different spots that you can plug in the AI Halo fans into. There's also a spot for power, as well as a spot to power the PCI slot expansion. This is the connector the fans use, which is just a standard 6-pin LED connector. And here you can see the power cable for the controller, which is a standard SATA connector. Finally, this is the PCI expansion controller, which connects to the main controller. I won't be using this in the final build, however, it is really handy. Moving on from the package, these are the fans when they are powered on. There's a fading effect mode, which you can see right now, and you can also lock the color as well in case you just want a solid color for your case. And this is what I'm going to be doing in my build. And then, these are the Raidmax RGB fans powered on. These you can control with the remote, which I'll be going more into at the end of the video. But anyway, with the packages out of the way, let's go back to the case. So on this case, you can remove the front panel very easily. You just pull on the bottom and it'll snap off. And you can see me doing this in the video right now. As you could probably tell, all of the panels on this case are made out of tempered glass, so be careful when you're handling it. On the back of the case, there's quite a few things here that are pretty interesting. There are 3 vertical slots for any solid-state drives you may have. This is cool because the back of the case also has tempered glass, so you're going to want to make this area presentable as well. There's also a bay where you plug up to 5 extra fans, which I thought was a really cool addition. The fans are then controlled by the switch on top of the case, which I'll be showing later on. There is ample room in the PSU area, and the hard drive bay can house 2 mechanical hard drives. In the hard drive bay is a box with different components, so let's take a look at that. Inside this box is a baggie with different things you'll need for your build, as well as a manual for the case itself. The bag contains screws for the power supply and screws for the hard drive bay. It also has screws for any smaller hard drives or CD drives that you may have. And finally, it has screws for the motherboard. The box also has a large amount of zip ties for you to use when cable managing, but I'm horrible at it, so I can't promise well-organized wiring in the back of the case. There is also some extra standoffs in case you need some. So going back to the case, here is the main space in the chassis. As you can tell, there is more than enough room for really anything. The power supply shroud has a nice reflective Anidees logo, which is a nice touch. On top of the shroud is a rubber grommet where you can feed wires through, which really helps with cable management. There's also this cool thing which will help with preventing GPU sag if you have a very long graphics card. Mine isn't long enough to reach this, however it is a really cool addition. The backside can hold a 120mm fan and has 7 expansion slots. The opposite side can hold a 360mm radiator or 320mm fans. This is where I'll be placing the 3 AI Halo RGB fans that they sent me. This side also has a magnetic dust filter for easy access and to clean. Similarly, the top of the case also has a magnetic filter for you to clean out every once in a while. Also on the top is the various buttons and jacks. On the right side is the 2 USB 3 and 2 USB 2 ports, as well as the power button and reset button, which both are very tactile. And that's a good thing. On the left side is the fan controller that I was talking about. It has 3 speeds, low, high, and somewhere in between. This button will control the fans that you've plugged into the fan hub in the back. Also on this side is your microphone and headphone jack, which is pretty standard stuff. The final side of the case is the bottom. There isn't much to see aside from the dust filter, which you can easily slide off and clean if need be. Before I forget, I also want to mention that the front of the case does have vents on both sides, so airflow is not a problem. With the different sides of the case out of the way, let's talk about the dimensions. The dimensions of this case are as follows. The height of the chassis is 19.6 inches, the width is 8.5 inches, and the length of it is 18.7 inches. As you can tell from the numbers, this is a very large case, which makes it great to work in. While we're here, I can also tell you the price, which is $125 on Newegg. This is understandable considering all of the tempered glass that it uses. Before the build starts, I also wanted to show you the sleeved extensions out of the case, so here they are. As you can tell, each wire is individually sleeved, which gives it a really cool look. And the black will fit very well with the build I'm going for. You can also check Raidmax's site to see what other extensions that they offer. So with everything out of the way, here is the build itself. I think the build turned out fantastic. One of my favorite colors is purple, so I decided to make that the main color of the LEDs, as you can see. Otherwise, I wanted to make everything else blacked out. Everything from the sleeving to the majority of the wires, the motherboard itself, and of course the pump and radiator. It's all black. And I think it came out really good. In the back, however, I wasn't able to cable manage too well, but this isn't a problem with the case, it's just my incompetence and lack of patience when it comes to cable managing the back of a PC. Either way, I don't look at the back too much, so it really isn't a problem for me. I also want to showcase the Raidmax fans that are in there by using the remote to change the colors. This is the remote you get with it. It's the exact same remote you get with the Alpha Prime case from Raidmax, and I'm pretty sure the fans are the same. They're just adjusted slightly. But anyway, on this remote there are these color-coded buttons, which, as you'd expect, changes the colors. However, if you can't find the color you want in those, you can use the color plus and minus buttons as you see here to cycle through the colors instead. There's actually more colors available using this option, so you can scroll through and see which one you want. Also on the remote is the brightness buttons, as you can see here, which, as you'd expect, these buttons change the brightness of the LEDs. You can see me changing that here. There's also buttons to change the mode of the LEDs. For example, if you wanted a fading effect, you could find that mode using these buttons. The modes are a flashing effect, fading effect, and also a breathing effect. To accompany this, there's also buttons that allow you to change the speed of these effects. If you want it faster, you hit the LED speed plus button, and if you want it slower, you hit the LED minus button. Overall, it's a cool way to control the LEDs inside your case. As usual with my reviews, I want to go over the pros and cons of this case. For the positives, the case is massive, which means there is tons of space to work in, and it was never aggravating when I was building. Another positive is the fact that there's plenty of opportunities to cable manage, especially in the back. Also, the general look of this case is very sleek and simplistic, which makes it great in my book. As for the negatives, I actually didn't have any at all. Working in this case was great, and the amount of room it has is awesome. For this last part of the video, I want to address a comment I received about the liquid cooler. It was asking how it would fare with only 2 fans instead of 4. So right now I'll be testing 3 different games for 5 minutes each and showing the footage from them. Obviously the footage is sped up, but you'll be able to see the temperature. The 2 fans are running at the exact same speed, however the case is different, so temps might be slightly better. Anyway, let's get into the tests. So first up is Ghost Recon Wildlands. I tested this game in my last video since it's a good CPU benchmark. For the record, the left side is 4 fans and the right side is 2 fans. As you can see here, the temperatures are better than I had with 4 fans. This I will attribute to the case I'm using. However, you probably have a good case as well, so you'll see similar temps. I also want to add that the fans are dead silent. Really, the only other noises in my case are the GPU and the case fans. Up next, I'm testing Battlefield 1 since it's a very good CPU benchmark and can get your CPU pretty toasty since usage is almost always high. And as you can see, the CPU temperature is pretty much the same or better. The story is the same for GTA 5 as well, as you can see right here. With GTA out of the way, that pretty much ends the testing. I hope the original commenter found those tests helpful. This also ends the review as well. As I said, the case is fantastic. I can't say really anything negative about it since I wasn't frustrated at all during building. Everything went smooth. I'm not saying this just because I was sent out the case. I was sent cases before in my other reviews as well, and I still had negatives about those. But anyway, as I said, that ends the review, and I really hope that you guys liked it. I obviously plan on doing more reviews, so I guess I'll see you in the next one.